In 1915, wealthy farmers and landowners wished to keep their black laborers in Boca Raton year-round, so they offered them the opportunity to buy certain land and live in an area we know today as historic Pearl City. These black pioneers took up their offer, bought pieces of land, built homes, churches, businesses, and even put up a schoolhouse. We begin our tour in Macedonia, African Methodist Episcopal Church, built in 1918.
Alex Hughes was credited for acquiring the land at Macedonia AME Church that we currently reside in today, built back in 1918. It is the oldest church in Boca Raton. It has been through several stages of improvement since its beginnings. We have an altar that serves a few purposes. One of the purposes is we have an altar call where members can come up and kneel for prayer. We also have First Sunday Holy Communion where members gather around to take the Holy Sacraments here at the altar. Enjoy the tour, look around, make yourself at home, seize the moment, because it's not every day that you can come and find heritage in a city over 100 years old.
My grandfather brought us down here in a truck, and we went down to the Albury house. We stayed there for a while because that was my grandfather's sister. Then my mother moved to a farm. Then we lived there for quite a while. Then my mother brought property in Pearl City, and we built a house over there on 12th Street. We lived there until my mom and father died, and we sold that to Ebenezer. Then I came here, wasn't anything here. We came in a truck with nothing but dirt road, no lights, none of that. Working on a farm, planting vegetables for the Japanese, but he give us vegetables too. And living there, we fished. We did that for a living. We would walk back to Pearl City Church. And then later, my mother bought some property in Boca Raton over on 12th Street. That's where she built the house, and we moved over there. Yes, we did bake pies. My mother used to be a member of this church. They would bake pies, do chitlins and all that, and sell them out through the church. They would go out on Old Dixie and sit up out there and sell pies, cakes, maybe ice cream. They churn ice cream, all that. Chitlins. They made dinners and sold them back in them days. That's how we really started out with this church, selling dinners.
I was born in 1947 on 11th Street, and we now call it Pearl Street. The house that I was born in is no longer there, but I built a new house on that property. My most fond memory was my grandmother, Belle Demery. And Belle Demery came to Boca from a little back country town and right on the Georgia line. And when she came with a lot of children. My grandmother had 14 children. She was living in a thatch hut on Palmetto Park Road until she could save enough money to buy property in Pearl City. She had to save $50 in order to purchase a property that I now live on. But my grandmother was like the matriarch. She was real rough and tough with her kids. She didn't take a lot from them. All I do recall as a small child is she was very, very good to us, and all of them, every Sunday, they all came. I was baptized in the Baptist church, and then because of my grandfather insisted that I be baptized in the Baptist church, although I joined the Methodist church. So I've been baptized in both churches.
But it was one of the most amazing things. I can't even remember any fights that we had growing up, and I'm sure there were fights and disagreements, but I can't remember. They were all beautiful memories. Everybody helped each other. And then, it took everybody said take a neighborhood to raise a child, and I remember my mom would say, "You all stay home, don't go anywhere." And I never will forget, one of my neighbors would tell my mom, "I saw your children down the street." They sure have grown up. And little did they know, they was telling on us that we had left the house. But, it was fun. I remember Miss Nora Simmons, one of the founders of Macedonia AME Church. She used to bring us in her living room and sit on her couch and teach us the Bible. But they had a bell on the side of the church. And we had to ring the bell because people didn't have clocks. You ring the bell to let people know it's time for church. But if somebody died, you tolled the bell. So when we go out there to ring the bell, we were so scared that we was gonna ring it too slow and they'll think that somebody had died.
And I had a good life coming up. We didn't have much. My mom had 13 children. My mom and daddy was very hardworking people. I remember when out west Boca, out there across the tracks over there, way out west, I guess, where Town Center Mall is now. Back out there, they used to lease out land for people to farm and to grow things, and my daddy had all this stuff. We grew bell peppers, we grew green beans and cucumbers, and he had enough children to go pick his stuff so he could take it to the market, and we fed our family. And it was dirt roads here, I remember that. But when they finally paved the street and they had a street light, we used to go sit up under the street light right across from my mama's house. We sit up under the light and play Jack Stones, and shoot marbles. I shot marbles with the boys.
And I had two brothers, just three of the children, and where we went out west down to Boca Raton, and there was nothing there but one house sitting up in Orange Grove. I thought it was lovely. We played together. We had to walk up here to Pearl City to school, but I didn't mind that either, because we played along, coming and going, we walked along there. We were only one there. My daddy and his three children, there's three of us, my two brothers and myself. And it was nice. We'd go all out through the orange grove, pick oranges, come back. If we did, Mama made us clean up our mess we made, which I guess we were supposed to do it. She wasn't supposed to do it. That was fun. It wasn't, to me, I had never seen oranges grow until we got to Florida. And boy, it was really exciting. You just don't know how exciting, how much fun it was to us down there. It's almost 70 years in Ebenezer City. 70 years. My parents bought and built a little shack. And from a little shack, that years passed, that shack grew into a decent home. Now we have a decent home, thank God.
The Bible lets us know that people perish for lack of knowledge. And what Sister Overstreet and the Albury family and the Cooper family, they bring rich heritage to the church and knowledge so that we can continue for another 100 years.
There was black businesses in Pearl City. There were black businesses. There was, on the south end was Willie White's Groceries and Restaurant. There was Dolphin's Barbershop and Pool Hall, Bar. When you're further, you ran across up on
the hairdresser, Miss Ted.
Yeah, the hairdresser, Mrs. Ted. Then you had Spain. Well, it was actually called the Sundress.
Yeah.
And the Sundress is where Tom originated from, and it did Tom Real. But further north, you had like three other juke joints. You had Goddard's, you had Willie White's, you had Jimmy Goddard. He had the gas station. He gave coal oil, kerosene, pump gas. Then he built this apartment complex. There were black businesses. The black businesses are no longer there. Where they vanished in terms of Dixie Highway expanded, took those buildings away.
Hi, I'm Lejeune Goddard, and welcome to the Tree of Knowledge. This tree serves as more than a physical beauty. This is where the elders from the community would gather, and the kids from the community would come and listen to their stories and listen to life skills. Also, I remember as a kid climbing up in this tree. Now I won't try it, but I remember as a kid climbing up in this tree and just feeling safe. And this was a gathering place where people in this community could come together without being threatened. They could come and laugh and play cards underneath the tree, and also board games. We would get our meal from the local restaurant right here and come on the tree and sit down and eat and just have a good time. So this tree served more than just a tree, but it has a lot of memories as well. People would gather on this tree and listen to who they called the professors. One of the professors was my dad, Homer Goddard. Other professors was Amos Jackson, and then you have Richard Goddard. And many of these professors in this neighborhood would come sit underneath this tree. Otis Brown sit underneath this tree and teach us life skills on what to do and what not to do. It was all positive energy coming from this tree and from those who spoke life and impacted our lives for a lifetime.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the contents of their character. Martin Luther King, August 28, 1963. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Martin Luther King, Jr., Letters from Birmingham Jail, 1963. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together in peace, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, retaliation. The foundations of such a method is love.
Different people donated money to build this, and this is one of the most beautiful monuments, MLK monuments, in the county of West Palm Beach, and maybe also in the region. They sold bricks and plaques, and like if you see the benches that they have here, they have plaques on them, and on the ground, each one of the bricks for different prices people could purchase to raise the funds to build this.
Welcome to Ebenezer Missionary Baptist Church, and we want to have a little time to show you what we are about. Come with me. This is one of the oldest churches that's established here in Boca Raton and Pearl City, one of the black churches. It's been here for 102 years, established in 1918. The first pastor was the Reverend J.H. Dolphus. And from that time on, we've been in Pearl City, establishing community, the men in the community. After they got off of work, they would come to the church and build a church, lay bricks, lay the foundational structures, and the wives and the ladies in the community will provide refreshments for them. So this has always been a close-knit church, a family church, a community church. And right now to this day, we still feel that bond and that connection to the community.
I also remember us going over on the beach on a holiday where somebody would bring a grill and they bring a jukebox and they would cook out over on the beach, and the whole community would be involved. It was a good community. It was a sharing community.
140 12th Street is where I was born, September 23rd, 1928. I'm now 91 years old, and God has been good to me. As far as our church here, this church originated 101 years ago over on 10th Street. It's where it was at the beginning. We call it a bush harbor. It was made with quite a bit of palmettos on the outside. Men were doing the money in the back, and I told the pastor, I said, now, what they're doing back there in 2 hours, I can do in 15 minutes. If you want to, I don't mind being the treasurer of the church. He said, you're the treasurer. I said, no, you got to go before the church and vote on it all. He said, I've already voted. You are the treasurer. So I ended up being the treasurer of the church. We had nothing much, and so what we had, we cherished it. And in here, the parents made sure that their children went to church, had good moral standards, and we didn't have to worry about locking the door because of the fact that the parents train up the children in the way they should go. And I have those fond memories that you can go to anybody's house and walk right in almost. God is the answer. Trust in God and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him and let Him direct your path. That is what I would say to anyone.
My name's Howard Spain. I'm the grandson of Mr. Alex Hughes. They named this park Alex Hughes after him. Alex Hughes moved to Boca Raton in 1914 from Deerfield Beach, Florida. He worked many years as a farm laborer and was the first person to build a home in Pearl City. It was primarily through his efforts that the first churches and school for the Pearl City residents were built. The establishment of these two cornerstones helped transform Pearl City from a mere collection of houses and temporary quarters into a cohesive and vibrant community. In 1972, the city of Boca Raton recognized the significant achievement of Mr. Hughes by naming a park in his honor, and that's why this park is named Hughes Park. And so he was really active in the community in helping others and in wanting to improve the neighborhood, and it was concerned about the kids, making sure that they got an education, they could read and write. He liked to read, and he would take us on the porch and he would read the paper and tell us to learn to read and to be studious. And not only was he a studious man, but he was a worker. He worked on the farms and as a laborer on the farms. But then Mr. Cheesebro, for some reason, liked Mr. Hughes, my grandfather, and not only did he have him working on the farm, but he also had him working at his home. And he would clean up around the yards, and he would do work around there. And then he would take me down there sometimes, and I would rake up leaves, and he taught me to work, and he taught us to work. And all the kids that he helped raise, they workers. Everybody was workers. You know, he believed in working. The other thing I remembered about him, he was really famous for his lilies. In front of Cheeseboro's property, he had a section that he would grow lilies. And he would grow lilies there every year people would come from all around to buy lilies from him. As a matter of fact, there would be articles in the paper about him and his lilies that he would sell. And as a matter of fact, he was kind of famous for those lilies that he would raise. We thank God for him. I thank God for the heritage that he was able to give us.
Florence Fuller Child Development Center started in the early 70s, 1971, and it was a place for migrant farm workers to bring their children during the day for education.
Welcome to Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, which was founded in 1949. Come on in and let me give you a tour of the church. This table here has been graced with the things that Reverend Lathan believed in from being a member here even until now. These things here we have not changed because he believed in the cross, he believed in the candles, and he believed in the cups. There's different times that he would talk about the power of the cross. The majority of the people resided here in Pearl City, Dixie Manor, Lincoln Court, because of coming off of the farm that was west of here. They worked at the farm, but then when the farm began to dismantle and all the people were leaving to go and live other places, most of them came
to Dixie Manor. That's including the pastor, Reverend James Lathan, who used to pastor the church at the farm. He came here and he stayed here from 1950 until 1993. That Sunday of 1991, Reverend Lathan asked for me. I came, and I've been here ever since. So it's a blessing. But the good thing is that a year later, in September of 1992, Reverend Lathan stood in front of the congregation and said to all the members, he said, I've done all that the Lord has set for me to do. My time is up. He said, I have you all a pastor that's going to be here to serve you all and work with you all. That was in September 1992. 11 months later, Reverend Lathan died. First of all, the building to the south side of us was built in order for this church to have service. Then, 1 year later, the building that we are standing in now was built. And the blessed side about it is it was built and paid for as they went along. The church was gutted out and redone in 2003. And it gives us the existing look that we have inside now. However, the upholstery work that has been done in the church was done by yours truly. The original church here, after being built, all the walls were paneling. We took all the paneling off the wall, we refurbished the walls, but in order to keep it with the history, we did not change the furniture. We remodeled it, but we didn't change it.
My aunt Lee Eunice had 3 girls and 1 boy, and my mom, May Blanche Brown, had 3 boys and 1 girl. And we all were in an apartment complex called Dixie Manor. We were all additionally in 1 apartment. So we had 8 kids and 2 adults in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. Got our elementary education from Roadman Elementary, which was right out our front door. Roadman Elementary was. Nobody was ever late for school. We got up in time. Everybody ate breakfast, and we'd go out to Roadman's. But growing up in Pearl City itself, we thought it was great because that's pretty much all we knew, and we were satisfied. We didn't know nothing else. However, we did have dreams. We saw that there was something else. And we tried to obtain those dreams by getting an education and living as a decent citizen, growing up wanting to contribute something to life, making our claim on life, what we were going to do, what we wanted to do. And we went out and sought out for it.
Actually, Ernest is my cousin, but he's my brother. And so, as he was saying, we grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 kids, and there was unity. There was everything that we did as a family. From dishwashing to taking care of the house and etc. We grew up in Dixie Manor, and Dixie Manor was at the time renovated from the old Army barracks. So that's how we end up being there, and that's where we live. But overall, there was a collective unity of families in Dixie Manor. There was a couple banyan trees that we as kids played a game. We called the game Gator. We would get up in the tree and climb the tree, and we tag somebody, and they become the Gator, and we just climb the trees. Sandlot football, which Ernie knows quite a bit about that, and that's how we kind of got our experience being athletes playing in Sandlot. So I just remember as a kid, like they had a Negro baseball team, that I said it like that because that's what we knew, and teams would come from Deerfield, Pompano, and play the guys in our community, and we were blessed to see baseball. But the families were all connected. You know, there wasn't, and mostly everybody that we all knew came from Bus Farm. They didn't, you know, I don't really recall many other families that did not have some type of growth from Bus Farm. They came from Bus Farm and lived in Dixie Manor. You had so many kids in Dixie Manor, tons of fun, you know, but we had a root of family with my mother and my aunt and my grandmother.
The people on Butts Farm, I'm sure, and I don't know, but I'm sure they weren't making a lot of money. They were probably just surviving. I don't know if anybody ever paid rent out there. They probably were just out there harvesting the crops, getting what little bit of money that they could make, and shipping the farm materials off for the Butts family, who were making tons of money. If you go out there and see that place today, you'll never know that there was a Butts farm out there. But that is what gave me my incentive to go on, because I knew that was not something that I wanted to do the rest of my life, was pick beans or work on any type of farm. Played football at the University of Miami. I was on a full football scholarship, 73, 74, and 75. Playing on the scholarship, it could have been anybody, any other athletes that I played with on the sandlot fields in Pearl City. And I was at the University of Miami for 3 years. After the 3 years there, I was drafted in the 5th round by the first year Seattle Seahawks. I was at Seattle for 1 year, and I went to New York, and I was at the New York Giants for 3 years. So I have 4 years in the National Football League. And this was something that I had always said that I was going to do, is become a professional athlete. I asked God for 2 things, and I'll tell you one of them, and that was to let me become a professional athlete, help me to perfect my skills to become a professional athlete. And I always wanted to represent where I came from, Boca Raton. I never forget where I came from.
And we came to Florida, a place called Butts Farm, which is on the west side of Pearl City, the place where we lived at that particular time. Now, we lived on that farm for many years, maybe like 11 years or something like that. We went to school in the place that's called Pearl City, and that school that you all were talking about. And we went there the whole time that we lived on the farm.
When we went to school, no such thing as middle school. Then we went to junior high, which was connected to the high school. And when she was talking, the one thing I thought about, she said we rode the bus every single day. We rode that bus every single day, passing Seacrest High School, an all-white school, passed by, made our left turn, and headed west to Carver High School.
And before we got there, we had to go further out where children lived on a farm.
Yes, pick up more children.
Those kids up. Now, you know, she mentioned about us having a very strong mother. We were born in Louisville, Georgia. We were not original Floridians. But when our father was killed in a car accident, my mom eventually moved us down to Butts Farm, which is part of Boca Raton.
She had some cousins there. That's how she came here. She just packed up her little brood, she had a brood, and she came because she knew she had to make a living for these little kids, and she knew that these kids depended on nobody but her. She was really, we didn't realize then that she was such a strong, wonderful woman. We didn't realize it then. But our mother always told us as children that it was her prayer that she would not pass away before all of her children got grown. And I want you to know God blessed her, that she did not pass away before all of her children got grown. All right, Julia.
Our mother getting us up in the morning, cooking breakfast for us, and she would also cook our lunch because we had to take lunch to school. And then we would take, I remember we would take biscuits sometime. She would make biscuits sometime. And then I just remember just going to school and just enjoying the teachers and the kids that were from Pearl City that lived there. And we would just mingle with them. And then for the bus to come and pick us up to take us home. But there were times that they call it the bean bus from Bus Farm. The bean bus would come and we would just go to school half a day. And the bus would come and pick us up from school, and we would take us back to the farm, and we would get dressed and go to the bean field. But I just remember those days because they were really happy days, you know, with my mom and my oldest sister. Our oldest sisters were like mothers to us, you know, when our mom was not there. The holidays, Easter, Christmas, days like that. Mom always went out and bought us new outfits. And, you know, and that's what we wore to church. And we just did things that, you know, all of the other kids did. So really, to us, the kids in Pearl City, we were no different from them.
They just lived in a different place.
And most of them had daddies. We did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And see, we were all right because in living on that farm, we had all the many activities that the other kids were having, you know. There was a church. There was a barbershop out there at one time. Yeah. There was a church. We always had good preachers out there. Is that right?
The barbershop. My brother always got a high right and a low left. That was a haircut.
That was a style.
I think that's all Mr. Richard could do.
And there was a cafe out there. There was a grocery store out
Nursery.
there. There was a nursery out there. Whatever was needed, we had it. Well, my brother decided that he wanted us to live in the city. So he found us a place to live.
You know, I remember the day that he came to pick us up.
Yeah.
I remember he came with this truck, and I remember Mama saying, "Oh, I just don't know." And our brother Buddy just started putting the stuff on the truck. He had got the house, and he wasn't waiting for Mama to make any decision because we know she would have said no. We were poor. But we sure didn't realize we were poor then, because my mother would make a sweet bread. I mean, that was our dessert on Sunday, and she would always prepare a Sunday dinner. Picking beans was, I didn't see it as a bad thing, but I was not a housebound person as Louie. She loved being in the house. On Saturdays, one of us had to stay home to clean the house, and she and I would often switch up because she didn't want to go to pick beans, and I'd rather go because I want to be with my friends.
And it was not like, you know, Mom would say, our mother would say, you know, we were going to the bean field, but it wasn't like, and you need to pick, you know, she didn't put a limit on us how much money we need to bring home or how many hampers of beans we need to pick in the bean field. So we went and we picked beans, but we had a good time in the bean field too.
Do the best that you can. And the people that own that farm, as I think back over our lives there, I mean, I do not see them as bad people. I really do not.
Welcome to the Wayne Barton Study Center. We've been here over 22 years in the community. We're a permanent fixture. We target middle school and high school students. We provide homework assistance, recreation and dinner, and a hot meal for each child. Every child that walks in that door, their college tuition, full ride is guaranteed. We have 162 kids in college now. We take kids who are latchkey kids, that when they come home from school, there's nobody at the house. They're unsupervised. So all they have to do is hang out with their friends, they get in trouble, they do various things. But what we say is come to the Wayne Barton Study Center. We create an environment where you will want to be. So we do creative learning with certified teachers. I have a staff of about 49 people. I had over 1,000 kids last year, well, actually this year. So in order to keep up with technology, to keep up with the kids, and to also encourage them to read, we have a book club reading program here where kids have to read books, and we give incentives and we give rewards. So basically what we do is we give them notebooks here in the Internet Cafe. We give them laptop computers here, they're all wireless, and the kids come in here and they relax. There's no pressure.